Chandan.
This call is now being recorded.
Chandan, you go ahead.
Sir, is the screen is visible?
Oh, okay. You go ahead
Okay,
and
sir.
introduce
Yes, 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 sir.
Dr. Sureshna Bakshi to our participants.
Okay, sir. Okay, okay. So, good
Yes,
afternoon,
sir, it is visible,
everyone.
sir. It is.
Yes, okay. So, good afternoon to everyone. I welcome you again back in our FDB program on sensor technology. This is our day 3, and we are proceeding with the third session. So, we are having Dr. Sudeshna Bakchi, senior scientist from CSIR CISO, among us. So, welcome, ma'am, to this forum. So, Sudeshna Bakchi, ma'am, has completed her MTech in Advanced Instrumentation Engineering from ACSIR CISO, Chandigarh in 2011. After that, she completed her PhD in Engineering from ACSIR CISO, Chandigarh in 2019. Her research areas are artificial olfaction, conducting polymers, and during his career span, she has been awarded with several awards, such as Indo-US Fellowship Award by DST IUSSTF at Baylor University 2019, and Young Scientist and Technologist Award by DST. So currently she is associated in 5 research projects in CSIR CISO Chandigarh. So with this, I would like to welcome ma'am once again to this forum. And before starting with the session, to all the participants, I want to I want to inform that today from 4:30 p.m. onwards, there is a quiz. So this is our second quiz, and it will be for half an hour. The quiz link will be kept open from 4:30 to 5 o'clock. So after 5 o'clock, the link will deactivate. So I will request all the participants kindly visit to that link and attempt those questions within half an hour. Because after 5 o'clock, it will be, really become difficult for us to proceed with the quiz again. So with this, once again, I would request Dr. Sudeshna Bakchi ma'am to proceed with her presentation. Ma'am, are you there? Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Are you
Yes,
there?
ma'am. Ma'am, please share your slide. Dr. Sureshna Bakshi, please. Am I audible? Ma'am, your voice is not coming. Chandan?
Yes, sir. Actually, I think she's there only, but
Then
ma'am,
why
are you
you
there?
also? No, no, ma'am is chatting. Am I audible? Ma'am, please leave the meeting once and then rejoin. Then almost every problem will solve.
Yes, yes. Actually, sir, she left the meeting and she will be joining again.
नहीं कहाँ लेफ्ट किए तो है. Ma'am, please left the meeting. Left the meeting once, then again rejoin. अभी लगता है लेफ्ट किए. कभी भी कोई प्रॉब्लम होता है ना, एक बार उसको लॉग आउट कर दो फिर लॉग इन हो, सारा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाता है.
Yes, sir.
For all the participant, sometime you don't slide is not visible or something, then you just log out and log in, then everything will solve.
Sir, actually, many participants are telling that their institute gets closed at 4:30. So we can do one thing. The quiz link can be extended for some more hour, and by 6 o'clock we will be closing the link of the quiz.
Okay.
So will it be okay, sir?
Well, why they will doing so? Ki institute will close.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. They are in the institute right now, so maybe that their organization may get closed by 4:30.
Okay.
So, and today is Saturday. Maybe some of the
Okay.
institutes are closed.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so to the participant, the quiz link will remain active up to 6 o'clock.
But you have to submit your answer. What is the time? 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Try to submit
15 minutes. Otherwise, they will be automatically submit, and in that case, some your response will also not be recorded. So you submit within 15 minutes. If the question only 15 question, so 15 minutes is enough. You can answer.
Sir, ma'am has again joined the meeting. So kindly, if you ask whether she is audible or not.
अरे दो बार तो बात हुई ना उनसे पहले. अब क्या हो गया?
Yes, sir.
हेलो मैम, सुदेशना बागची मैम. मैम, you are not audible. क्या हो गया इन मौके पे? Ma'am, please on your video also. You are not audible. Okay, ma'am, return. Give me 5 minutes. I will restart again. Okay, no problem. So we will discuss up to 5 minutes. Any participants you want to say something? Your suggestion is highly acceptable, so you can give any suggestion, because all of you are faculty members like us. I want to give any, because in this question there are many seniors faculties on the level of professors also join this course. So sir, please, if you want to give some suggestions for future to improve such type of programs, then you are most welcome. So we can utilize our time for the same. Ma'am, your voice is again not audible. Please switch on your video also. And share your slide also.
पोलीस नहीं है वो या कर सकते
Now, ma'am, join from multiple system.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Welcome back.
Sorry for the
No
earlier
problem, ma'am.
disruption. Yeah, I'll try to share my screen now.
You join from क्या कहते हैं laptop as well as mobile phone.
Yeah, I'm trying that.
Okay. Speaker volume should be minimum.
Yeah, I have done that.
Go to the present now button. Present now button.
Yeah, I have done that, sir. Sorry, sir. Will it be possible for someone to share my slides? I'm not sure why it's not getting transmitted.
Present now, below present now button, you
Yes, sir.
click
I
on
have done that. I have already done that.
your entire
Shared the
screen
entire.
or your
Yeah,
entire screen or
I have
window.
done that, but I don't know. It's not getting shared.
Ma'am, your entire screen, then you click on that particular logo, then share button will become blue.
Yeah, sir. I know that.
Your share button will become blue or not?
Yeah, sir. I have done that already.
Then what problem? Just I am sharing. Just everyone, you are presenting your screen. Just like what's the problem? Earlier you have presented in Google Meet from your laptop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't know.
Then
There's some error that is coming stating can't share your screen.
try
I
once
was
more.
on Google Meet actually the entire day today. I don't know why this problem is coming now.
Someone is written something.
Sir, I have done that. There are three dots beside present now. You can present the screen that way too. But
When you clicking present now, your entire screen a window option came.
yeah, everything
Then
had come. I
uh,
had selected the window, then you share. Then there's an error that is being reported that can't share the screen now.
and then have you any solution? Any participants? Ayush, Ayush is there? Or any participant? Can you speak? What type of problem occurring here? Ayush Agarwal.
It's getting blocked.
Uh, ma'am, you mail the
Yeah. I'm mailing the PPT to Jayendra sir right now.
no, Jensen, you mail the PP to this mail. Ayush, write
Okay.
your mail. Ayush6295 gmail.com. AYUSH 6295 @gmail.com. Ayush, you are on laptop? Ayush, tell me. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, ma'am. You send Ayush
Yes.
AYUSH.
I have already sent the PPT. Can
Okay.
he share it now?
Ayush, start. Ayush, what happened? Ayush, please unmute your mic. Okay, downloading. Anyway, ma'am, you start something, then Ayush will share his
Yeah,
PPT.
yeah, sure. Sorry for all this
No, no problem,
miscommunication
ma'am.
and technological problem. Yeah,
This type of problem always coming. And
yeah,
this is
yeah.
I am lucky enough to in last 6 session this type of problem
I don't
not
know, this is
happened.
the first time I faced this problem in this entire
Yes,
duration.
yes.
This never
No
happened
problem.
before. Yeah,
Ayush Agarwal is present.
yeah. Thank you so much. So I'll be presenting today smart materials for sensor technology. Next slide, please. I'll keep my presentation brief, so hopefully I'll finish it on time. Yes, we are a sensor group known as Agrionics. Mainly we work in the development of sensors, devices and systems for different agricultural applications, basically for quality and sensory estimation of different agro products such as tea, cashew nuts, oil. So these are the products that we have developed and we are currently researching. And one of our primary area of our research is artificial olfaction for both for aroma detection as well as flavor analysis of different agricultural based products. Along with agricultural products, we also work on sensor for environmental monitoring applications and other optical readers. Next slide, please. Along with the system devices, we work on the development and fabrication of sensor systems. Electronic nose is basically a sensor technology that mimics human nose to detect different odor compounds. So in human nose, as we know, we have multiple sensory array. So we are trying to mimic the same technology and we are fabricating a different array of sensors based on different smart materials. So the array has different detection technique. It can be chemiresistor, that is a change in resistance on detection of the odor compounds. It can be impedance based sensors. It can be optical sensors. It can be electrochemical sensors. After we have recorded the sensing technology, we transduce it using different signal processing techniques and then we apply algorithms for different classification of the odor compounds, mainly for quality assessment of different products. Next slide, please. So today's discussion outline, I will give a brief overview of what is smart materials, different principle of operation of this kind of materials for different applications, as well as different design and fabrication techniques. Smart materials actually can act as both sensors and actuators. It senses the external stimuli around the environment and undergoes a change in property. It may be color, it may be its shape, it may be any other properties. And then further transduce it into a useful signal. Generally, it does not require any electronic interface for the transduction. This is an intelligent based sensing. So we have different kind of smart material. It is chromic, that it can be color based. It can be piezoactive, that is on change of stress. There can be charge or electric current generation. It can be magnetic sensitive, similar to ferrofluids. It can be electroactive, that is on application of voltage. There might be change in properties. There are self-healing properties also, which is applied for many structural health monitoring applications, for defense applications and other applications. And last but not the least, one of the most popular smart material is the shape memory alloys. Next slide, please. So if we look around us, we can get different inspiration from the nature, be it a touch-me-not plant which changes its leaf property when we touch it, or be it a sunflower which can track the sunlight at different properties, and be it chameleon which has a special kind of pigment material which changes color in terms of its environment. So what researchers are trying to do using these properties, different researchers or different research groups are trying to mimic this materials in order to synthesize artificial materials for different applications. Next slide, please. Smart materials can be used in smart fabric. It can be used in stealth application for radio absorptive material. It can be used for electronic skin, artificial muscles. It is generally used in controlled drug delivery for self-healing applications of the skin. It can be used in eyewear that was widely popular earlier, that is photochromic sunglasses, and it can also be used as a smart sensor for monitoring of UV exposure or any other harmful radiation, and we can also use it for any kind of contaminant sensing or pollutant monitoring. We can make it as smart badges for the health workers. So it has a wide variety of application, be it in defense, be it in sports, or be it in any kind of environmental sensing applications. So this can be external stimuli. It photochromic, thermochromic, chemochromic, piezochromic, or halochromic. That is, it can change color on application of temperature. It can change color on absorption of light. So the basic principle is it changes its electronic states, or there is a band gap modulation, or there is a change in the structural property, or when there is some kind of electronic transfer. This material actually changes its absorption spectra, that is mainly which is responsible for its band gap, to different absorption spectra. For example, if it was transparent for UV applications, when there is a temperature change, there is a shift in its band gap and it becomes absorptive to visible range. So there is a change in the color on application of an external stimuli. Next slide, please. Chromic material can be both inorganic and organic. Inorganic material has an advantage that it is cheap, it is easy to fabricate as compared to organic material, and it is much more stable. So the common kind of inorganic material that are used are generally oxides of transition metals, that is tungsten, molybdenum, titanium, vanadium, or any kind of metal halides. So one of the major example of an electrochromic material is a photochromic sunglasses. As we know that there are different companies that sell sunglasses which changes its color when we go out in the sunlight or there is an exposure to sunlight. What is the or any other metal chlorides fused in the matrix of the glass. So when it absorbs in UV light, there is a change in its crystalline structure. Previous slide, please. Yes, for example, here we consider a silver chloride crystalline structure. So what happens when it absorbs a UV light? There is an electron transfer in this kind of crystalline matrix, that is chloride ions given material, and it releases an electrons. We know that silver is a positive atom, so when it accepts the electron, it transitions into silver metal. So it now, the silver chloride structure, which was actually transparent to UV, giving it a transparent structure, when it changes to a metal, it absorbs the visible light and changes into a dark color. So that is why the photochromic glasses has a transition from transparent to a dark color when there is an exposure to sunlight. Next slide, please. You can stop me if you have any kind of doubt in the interaction mechanism. This is another interesting research on inorganic material. Like I have earlier told, mainly metal oxides or oxides of transition metals are generally used for chromic applications. But the issue is they are mostly transparent to UV. So there's a change UV. But the UV light or the deuterium light, they're generally bulky, and there's a problem, they're very expensive, and they're also harmful to the human skin. So they have constructed an inorganic material made of barium magnesium silicate, where they have fused iron into it. So what happened is not only the UV light, there were different light, that is from blue, green, red. It showed a color transition. So this kind of application is very useful. Am I audible? Like, is there an issue with my voice?
Madam, you are audible. No problem.
Okay. So there is a change in color when it absorbs visible light. So this kind of technology is very useful for compact disc or small optical disc for memory storage, where we need not use an UV exposure light to create the gratings in the disc. We can use small cheap LED technologies which can change the material color, and this can also be used actually for display applications too. Next slide, please. Now, inorganic materials are much more stable than organic material, but organic material has a major advantage of flexibility, and you can tailor it into different kind of properties as compared to inorganic material, which are mainly brittle, and it is sometimes difficult to translate it into a device form. So in organic material, polymers has gained widespread attention or wide found application in lot of different fields. And there are different kind of polymers, that is conducting polymer is one of the major polymer that is used in different applications. Second is metalloporphyrins. Then there is carbon-based structures like graphene or carbon nanotubes. Metalloporphyrin is a material that we are currently working on the lab. It has it's a pi conjugated structure basically. The structure is similar to hemoglobin in our blood. So as we know, hemoglobin has a aromatic ring structure with iron as its metal center. So this iron is responsible for the red color in the blood. So similarly, in replacement of iron, you can have different metal ions. You can have chromium, you can have nickel, you can have copper, which will actually give you different colors. So and you can shape or define this material into various forms, and you can get different kind of colors from this material fabrications. So mainly we are using this material as a vapochromic devices. As I've already told earlier that one of our main focus research is artificial olfaction. So what we are doing, in electronic nodes, you need an electronic interface to transduce the sensory signal into useful information. But here you can directly have a sensory array of different colors, and when it interacts with different odor molecules or different gas molecules, the color changes. So when the color changes, you can visually indicate that if there has been a change in the environment. So we are basically using it for monitoring of benzene tolerant xylene, that is for petroleum refineries. You can have workers who can wear these badges, so you can know how much exposure to different gases has occurred based on the change in color of the badge. And basically, there's a change in structure when it interacts with different gases. So when there's a change in the structure, the color, for example, it might have a purple color. So when it interacts with the benzene gas, it might change to a light purplish color or to a pinkish color. So by monitoring the change in the wavelength, you can actually identify different compounds. This is one of the application, these vapochromic devices, but it can also be used for pollutant monitoring in different fields. Like it can be used for pollutant monitoring in water quality analysis or any other environmental applications. So this is the entire system that we are developing, where we have a sampling system which will sample the odor molecules, and we are trying to mimic the human nose. So when you take a sniff or when you take a smell, the flow dynamics in your nose, we are trying to mimic those flow dynamics into a sampling system which will then translate to the sensor. So from the sampling system, the odor molecule will reach the sensor. This is mainly done to make the device very sensitive. So you can breathe, for example, if you have a very weak smell, so how will you detect it? So you can pre-concentrate the odor molecules based on the fluid dynamics of the sampling system, and then that can reach the sensor. So the sensor can detect even very weak concentration of these gases. The sensor that we are working on can be based on change in resistance as well as change in color, and similarly you can have an electronic interface if it's an electronic sensor, or if it's a color sensor, there is no need of any electronic interface. It will directly translate into information. And finally, you have an algorithm where we are trying to create different odor spaces so that you can detect different smells. For example, how will you identify a fruity smell, or how will you distinguish it from a pungent smell? So in your brain, there are different neuromorphic circuitry which actually classifies these different smell characteristics into different categories so that you can actually distinguish between the different smell. So this is an optical nose. It is similar to the colorimetric pattern. We use metalloporphyrin sensory array to create a large number of sensor array, and each change in the color is monitored maybe using a reader or visual translation tool, which is known as the sensory perception of a human being. So in the right hand side, I have shown the odor space for identifying different volatile compounds. This is mainly done to analyze the quality assessment of cashew nuts. So generally what happens when there is a spoilage in nuts or oils, maybe you can smell a very rancid smell or an off flavor smell that comes out from a very old nuts or old oils. So what are the volatiles responsible for that smell? We are trying to identify it and then classify it into different spaces. So this is, we are developing the sensor as well as we are developing the algorithm for it. Next slide, please. This is the fabrication of the sensor array. You can use different techniques, that is you can use inkjet printing. This is a microarray spotter. This is a microarray spotter, which is a robotic spot board where you can dispense a definite amount of liquid or definite amount of your material on your different sensor arrays. So you mask your basic. For example, you have a substrate and you have identified you want to create 8 sensors. So you create a mask for this 8 sensor, and then you give instruction to the spot board on the location or the XYZ coordinate of the mask, and then dispense the liquid. After that, you remove the mask, and then there's a creation of different array of sensors. It is similar to the earlier slide, which you can actually correlate, where I have showed the mask as well as the sensor material or the flexible membrane whereon the sensor is fabricated. And this is a standard generator or a standard equipment to actually identify or generate different gases. for calibrating of your sensor system to create different odor molecules, a mixture of odor molecules, and further identification of the odors. This is another material that we are working on. This is conducting polymers. It is a bit different from the metalloporphyrins. It also has an aromatic ring structure, but it has a pi-pi stacking to it. So due to the deconjugation of the delocalization of the electrons in the structure, it can readily oxidize or reduce using a strong oxidant or reduction. So this phenomenon is known as protonation or deprotonation. Using this technique, you can actually convert this material for different application. For example, if you have a strong odor molecule, it can oxidize this material, and there can be a change in numerous parameters of this material. There can be a change in color, there can be a change in its even in its shape or size or its structure. There can be a change in its electrical characteristics. So one of the application of conducting polymer is in electrochromism. That is, when you apply a voltage, it changes color into different states. So on application of voltage, again the same phenomenon occurs, that it might oxidize or it might reduce, and hence there's a change in the color. So now the challenge is to produce or tailor this material in such a way that you have a number of states that coexist in this structure, so that when you apply voltage, it can have a wide range of color change. That is, might be from a very light to a very dark in the same wavelength scale, or it might be in a complete different scale. So this material is actually used in aircraft display or aircraft window panes, wherein you can control the color or control the light based on a small application of current or voltage. So you might have seen when you are traveling in aircrafts, there's a small knob on the window panes, and you can change the knob, basically tuning the voltage, and there will be a change in color in the window shades or the window panes just to block the sunlight. So this is one of the application. You can actually have multiple application of this electrochromism process or electrochromism nature. This is something we have developed in a lab too, where we have developed different kind of conducting polymers which has different behaviors, and we have seen how we can tailor this material so that we can, on application of maybe voltage or a current, different kind of color coexist in the material. And there can be different kind of configuration, sensory configuration of this material. You can just have a 2 electrode system where you apply a voltage and there will be a change in color, or you can have a 3 electrode system similar to an electrochemical cell as of batteries, where you can have a standard working electrode, reference electrode, and then you apply a potential and there will be a change in the color. So based on your application, you can actually configure or design your material. You can design your system or you can design your sensor. Next slide, please. This is another class of material that we are working on. These are known as the self-healing material. Self-healing materials are mainly used in concrete structure or in structural health monitoring or in buildings, wherein the material has a property that it can self-repair itself when there is a change in some kind of an external stimuli. For example, if there is a change in, if there is a crack in a building, what will happen? There will be, you have already coated the material on the building, so there will be a change in its mechanical, it will either elongate or there will be a change in its mechanical strength or mechanical structure. So based on this, the material can actually start self-healing. There will be some kind of interaction in the material. It might rebound itself to the building. There can be different kind of materials. One is to have a self-healing material injected in a polymer matrix. There can be a microvascular material. It is similar to your blood flow system, where you have a different network of capillary. As soon as the crack happens, the polymer material will sense the crack, it will dissolve, and the self-healing material will inject into those cracks. And third is the shape memory material, which can retain its memory of shape when there is a change in the external stimuli, maybe temperature or maybe any kind of other environmental factors. And one which is most right now commonly used or very well researched is reversible polymers. In concrete structure, what happens, the earlier the material that we used to use, the metal alloys, once the self-healing property has taken place, it could not reverse back to its original shape. So you cannot reuse it again and again. But for some applications, you need to reuse the same material. So we can use a reversible polymer. What happens? It changes its structure when there is some kind of an external stimuli, and as soon as the stimuli is removed, the structure changes back to its original shape. So not only for self-healing properties of the concrete structure, but we can also use it for different device applications where it restores the chemical, mechanical, electrical and other optical properties too when the external stimuli is removed. So one of the commonest application is for biomedical application, that you can use it in electronic skin, you can use it in artificial muscle, as well as for optical display. So what happens, doesn't matter how many cuts or injuries your skin face, you can reuse these materials and again for self-healing properties. Next slide, please. This is one of the research work where they have fabricated a capacitive touchscreen display. That is, you can have any kind of Arduino display or any kind of other TFTs, and they have tried using a material, polymer material, to see when you drop the screen, if there is a crack in the screen, can you actually self-heal the screen? Because it happens with all of us. We keep on dropping our mobile phones and there's always a crack in the displays. So what if we can have a smart material which can immediately self-heal these cracks so that there is no change in our display properties? So similarly, they have used a 3-layer structure. There is a composite material, polymer material. Then there is a conducting electrode which actually changes its capacitance on touch, and this conducting electrode is embedded inside another rigid structure or rigid soldering structure. So what happens is when there is a crack, you can have a look on the right hand side, there are different cracks in the system, and it showed that how the healing process has taken place with time. But in this kind of polymer materials, you have to heat the polymer so that the polymer can seal back itself, removing the crack. In the major principle of operation in this kind of material is it has two functional group which has which can interact with each other. So what happens when there is a crack, this structure breaks, but when you heat the polymer material, these two functional groups will again interact with each other, thus regaining its original structure. Now, why there is a 3-layer system here? Because you are heating the polymer. So when you are heating the polymer, the viscosity of the polymer material will change. As a result, the conducting electrode, the distance between the conducting electrode might change, changing its, as a result, the electrical properties might change. So in order to prevent that, what you do is you embed the conducting part in a rigid structure, so that even when the polymer material, when you're heating the polymer material and it changes its shape, the conducting electrode on top remains intact. So as you can see, there are three kind of steps in this displays. One, when it is cracked, and after it has healed. Next slide, please. Similar to the previous research work, where you have to heat the polymer material in order to seal the cracks or sutures, here you can actually need not heat the polymer material. The material will self-heat even at ambient temperature. This is basically a flexible, the polymer is coated on a flexible membrane, and it has lot of hydrogen bonding sites onto it. So what happens when there is a crack, if you keep even at ambient that you don't need to apply any kind of external stimuli, that is stress or temperature, to self-heal your device. So what happens, there is no change in your device properties, and you can get a very so these are mainly known as a supramolecular organic material. Next slide, please. Yes, we are trying to work these self-healing materials for biomedical wound healing patch. It is similar to a band-aid. What happens when you have some kind used for military applications, when there is an injury in the skin, you can have some kind of a antibiotics or any other medicines embedded in a polymer matrix, and you can patch it onto your injury so that the self-healing occurs very fast. This is electrospinning is a fabrication technique where you can actually fabricate this kind of flexible membranes or flexible patches, or you can deposit the polymer material on the device itself. This is a standard instrument that we have developed in our lab. Next slide, please. It will be clear. Yes, it has three main components. One is a nozzle, or one is an electrode, where you apply a high voltage. This is where you apply a very high. There is a change in the surface tension of your material.
dear participants, actually, ma'am got disconnected right now. So in that, so she will be connecting soon, and again we will begin with the presentation.
Circulate the attendance.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I'm so sorry, I'm getting disconnected because of the internet.
Okay, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah, this is just the last slide.
Okay, no problem, ma'am.
I'm sorry for this awful presentation.
No problem for
Yeah.
Time is up. So no problem. You can continue.
Yeah.
The most important thing is discussion. After that, our participant can discuss with you. That is the more important. Okay, ma'am. Go ahead. Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Now you are audible.
Yeah, am I audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is known as an electrospinning system where you have a high voltage peristaltic pump. What you do is whatever material you want to coat or whatever material you want to fabricate, it is in a solution form which has a very high viscosity. So when you apply a high voltage across the nozzle where you give a positive voltage, and there will be an electrode on the bottom which you can ground it or you can give a negative voltage. So there is an electrostatic field created between the nozzle and the ground. So the surface tension of the material will be changing because of this, because as you can see, mainly because of the surface tension. So when you apply a voltage to it, this droplet will change its shape into a conical shape, and because of the high viscosity of the fluid, the electric field will try to attract this fluid on the grounded plate, and as a result there will be a formation of fibers on the plate, you can have a 2D kind of a structure as well as you can have a 3D kind of a structure. The main advantage of this technique is because there's a term known as the wraparound effect, because you're grounding the substrate or grounding the electrode where you want to coat your material. The substrate is charged on the top side as well as on the bottom side. So the polymer material from the nozzle will be also. So you can have the coating on 2D substrate too. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this is a pictorial representation or the photograph. You can see a complete spherical droplet that has formed on the nozzle. As we increase
Hello.
the meniscus of this droplet starts deforming because the competitive forces between the electric field and the surface tension force as well as other electrohydrostatic very high. It becomes a conical shape Taylor cone because it was founded by Taylor. If you can play the video, it might be a bit clear. I know my voice is not very clear right now. Here, when you increase the voltage, you can see that the droplet is actually changing and there is a formation of cone. And when you increase the voltage more, hydrodynamic forces will come out from this droplet and there will be different forces, that is electrostatic forces in between the fluid, and there will be a formation of fiber-like structure. So the nozzle, there is a base plate which is grounded. You apply the high voltage, a formation of spray. If you have a very less, there will be a formation of fibrous. On the right hand side, you can see different forces that is acting on this liquid spray or polyliquid, whatever you can call it. So mainly these forces are basically responsible for the like the voltage, the distance in turn, that is the electrostatic field, and you can control the thickness of your coating as well as your crystalline structure of the material. Next slide, please. Shape memory materials are a class of reversible polymers which can retain its memory of shape. When you apply a temperature, if there is a temperature of the material gets deformed, and when you remove the temperature, it returns back to its original state. So it remembers its previous shapes and it knows that when the stimuli can recover back. Not only shape, it can also recover back its different properties too. So there are two classes of shape memory alloys. Earlier, which we used to use is alloy of maybe nickel, titanium, or nickel, aluminum, chrome, copper, etc. But the issue with this kind of material, it's very expensive. So nowadays, polymer material, this kind of alloys, and this can be used for different example. You can actually have a very small ball-like robot. Particular, you want to push it under the door. The door, you can send some kind of actually come back to its original shape. Similarly, you can use it in aircrafts wherein there might be a change in the temperature, so it can always retain its spring, titanium or nitol alloy, where even when you have actually deformed the spring and then you apply a heat to this material, it will exactly return back to its original shape. Springs or normal stainless steel metals or any plastic spoon, when you bend it or stretch it, it remains deformed. It will not go back exactly to its original shape. I could not cover. There are many other smart material that are used, maybe for smart fabric. There can be thermochromic material which changes its color with temperature. That is, for example, when you're in a very high temperature area or in a cold temperature area, based on the temperature, the color of the material will change, giving you a soothing effect. There's a piezoelectric patch that you can use, that is a piezoactive material, as well as smart ceramics for stealth application. This is basically a radar absorber, wherein for military application you can camouflage itself, where the radar or different satellite will not be able to detect you because of the material. This is my group. You can always visit our site to see what facilities we have and what current research we are doing, and you're welcome to ask for any help or any kind of interactions. Thank you. I again apologize for the bad internet connection, and I'll try to answer your queries as much as possible from your chat. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. No problem. I have
Thank you, sir.
several issues. That is not your problem, ma'am. This is a technical problem, and this type of problem always happens during the presentation.
Yeah.
So, no problem for that. So I request a participant, you have any questions related to the this particular session, then you can ask directly question to ma'am. You want to know something? Because ma'am is in CSIR show Chandigarh. And
you have my mail ID. Any kind of queries, you are welcome to interact further. We are always open to discussions. We are a small group, but
Dr. Manoj Patel is in your group or other group?
yeah, he is in my group.
Oh, your group only.
Yeah.
He is my student, man.
Yeah, I know actually. Yeah, he told me. Yeah.
Today only I also talked to him. He is really very meritorious student during the period.
Yes, sir.
I like the most thing is I write at that time, and also at always I write his writing. Like his writing. His writing is very well.
Yeah.
So any of you have question? The number of participants is too much. 146 participants are there. And no one have
Maybe
any...
I'll have a look at the chat later. I can try to.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, the color sensor using the what algorithms? Ma'am,
Sorry.
you already tell about the color identification sensor using some algorithms. Okay, what
Yeah.
algorithms you are using, ma'am?
Yeah, see, we are using multiple algorithms. We are using basic principal component analysis or state vector machines too, but we are also using some genetic algorithm based on social impact theory. So it is the other group, mainly the data scientist group, who are working on this algorithms for creating these odor spaces. The main research is to identify the structure of this odor molecule and correlate it with the perception. So if you have a volatile with a particular molecular structure, how can you know what kind of a smell this molecule will have? So that is the basic or the research.
Okay, ma'am. The without algorithm,
Yeah.
the color sensor does not performing, right?
If you're, yeah, it can perform when you have a single sensor and you have a single molecule. What happens? You can visually detect the change. But when there are multiple number of mixture of molecules, either you need to provide a chart to mention what are the color changes, or if you want to totally identify the entire space, you need an algorithm which will identify all the color change, because if we have 128 sensory array pattern, it is not possible to visualize, monitor all the changes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I want one example of the self-healing touch sensor or self-healing sensor. One example.
Yeah, that's what I've given earlier, right? It is a normal, you can have a normal TFT displays. Okay, it will be like a glass electrode. You have a silver electrode or a conducting electrode, which will change its capacitance when you touch it. You actually embed this glass in a polymer material. That is, your base is a polymer material, and on the top you have the touch screen. So when there is a crack, what happens? This polymer material will change its configuration and try to seal these cracks. And there can be different ways you can do that. You can heat the polymer material, or you can also add a mechanical stress to this polymer material. Now what the problem occurs is that when you're heating the material, because you already have your touch screen on top of the polymer material, because of the heat there might be some changes in the display properties or the electrical characteristics of the material. So what you do, you try to seal this touch screen or the conducting plate inside a more rigid structure, so that what happens when there is a change in the polymer material, even when we are heating it, the display remain in place. There is no change or no stretching that occurs. Am I clear?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thanks, ma'am.
I request all the participants, please switch on your camera for a few minutes. You also ask questions, and during that you switch on your cameras. Ask question, second question. Any of you, please.
Okay, madam. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
हाँ जी बोलिए.
Hello.
Madam, for simulation purpose, which software is easy to operate? For
Simulation of what? Electronic devices?
no. Sensors. If the sensor
For material?
before, yeah, for sensors, testing of sensors.
Yeah, for sense.
For
You
testing
can
of
use
sensors.
console.
Console, okay.
Yeah.
And in fab, which instruments normally you are using there? Hello.
Instrument in the sense for testing
Yeah,
purpose.
testing.
We have different precision instruments. We have different precision impedance analyzer. We have current voltage source measure unit. We have different LCR meter with a wide range for electronic testing.
Okay.
And for creating the gas molecules, I've already shown we have a generator based on permeation tube technology.
Okay. For fabrication of sensors, what you are using?
For fabrication of sensor, it depends. I have already shown we have a spot board, that is a microarray robotic structure which dispenses the polymer material when you want to create a sensory array. We also use electrospinning method to create flexible polymers, and we use normal chemical synthesis technique too for in situ deposition of the materials.
Thank you, madam.
Any more questions? You ask as many as questions because time is always doing practical work. So in academic, such type of facility is not available in general colleges. Maybe some IT or NIT have such type of sensor development or other facility. So no question. Can I conclude the session? Or anyone have questions? Anyone, any confusion you want to ask about CSIR CISO? What is CSIR CISO?
Hello,
This is the
madam.
question, sir. You have
Hello,
this type
madam.
of-
Yeah. Yes, please.
Whether IC fabrication is possible in Chandigarh lab?
It is possible in semiconductor lab, which is in Mohali, that is next to Chandigarh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is it possible to access that lab for our students if somebody is interested for his research work?
I will try to share the name of few people. You can contact them, and it is possible. Actually, they give training sessions too. So I think you have to talk to them. They might allow you because it's a defense lab, so there is some restrictions, but it is possible to access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, your camera is not working. Can you on camera for one snap?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, my internet connection is so poor today, so it's difficult to video
Yes,
and
yes.
audio transmission. Yeah, it's breaking.
Yeah. That is the restriction.
Yeah.
So. Your lab is in city, na? Outside of city.
No, it's within the city.
Then network problem is there.
Actually, I'm not in lab today, so
Sure.
I live a bit far, so.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Now I want to conclude the session. So, thanks to Dr. Suleshna Bagchi to present here and make a great success of the event. And also thank you Yash Agrawal who has shared his her slide.
Yeah, thanks for that.
And thank you all the participants. Please stay. Your question, quiz question have floated or not? Chandan, are you hear me?
Yes, sir. I am floating it, sir.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. In future, if I need some
Okay.
help, then I will.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Okay, now you can switch off your camera and yeah, and the quiz questions came on the screen. So all of you, the number of participants is also 146. So almost all are present here. So you solve these questions. This is very silly questions, not too hard. So try to solve yourself only. So no problem. You have no problem. I know you all of you have scored at least 60%. We don't need a 60% marks. Only 60% is compulsory. No other prize or something. I have solved 100%. So this is a requirement of our AICT.
Hello, sir. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello.
Sir, tomorrow is Sunday. At what time the session will start?
अरे
Morning?
I believe tomorrow session will start at 9:15.
Okay.
Tomorrow session 9:15, one session of stress management, some exercise.
Okay.
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 Sir,
Okay.
sir,
Ah.
when this quiz will close?
Ma'am, when you open the question inside, I think setting is 20 minutes. So you have to submit the question within 20 minutes. Otherwise,